What's up guys, Roman from RNS Entertainment, here with another edition of my comic history series where I go over the iconic origins and storylines of all sorts of comic book characters. In this video we're going to be going over the origin of Agent Venom, aka Flash Thompson, a former high school bully turned US soldier who becomes the third and current incarnation of Venom after Eddie Brock, the original host of the symbiote, and Matt Gargan, aka the Scorpion, who was bonded with the symbiote for a time after Brock. The symbiote has attached itself to a multitude of people for various time periods, but these three are the only characters that have held the name and mantle of Venom. Flash Thompson has always been around in Spider-Man comics, initially the stereotypical bully character, first string on the football team, constantly tormenting Peter Parker, while ironically looking up to Spider-Man. Flash was eventually revamped to be a more sympathetic character and slowly became friends with Peter Parker. Having joined the United States military, went through severe bouts of alcoholism and depression, came in and out of a coma, and eventually returned to the military in a fit of patriotism to fight in the Iraq War, which would see Flash Thompson make a great sacrifice when both of his legs receive heavy damage from a hail of bullets, and he powers through it with the intention of saving his fellow soldiers. Flash's legs then have to be amputated from his knees down, earning him a Medal of Honor and the respect and support of his friends and family, crediting his own actions to his admiration for Spider-Man, as making a sacrifice to save others is exactly what the superhero would have done. Flash is then approached by a special unit of the military in the Amazing Spider-Man number 654, who offer him the chance to once again serve the military by taking on the Venom symbiote for limited time periods to become the government's own version of Venom, and take on missions across the world, combating military forces, supervillains, and engaging in political espionage, all while fighting the influence of the symbiote, which is only possible through the use of experimental chemicals and sedatives to keep his anger and dark thoughts in check, lest they feed the symbiote and promote a permanent bond between the two. They also impose a strict 48-hour time limit on Flash in the suit, and from the get-go tell him that his stint as Venom is only a temporary thing, 20 missions and then he's out. Flash jumps at the chance to take on the symbiote, claiming to only want to serve his country, which is true, but it's a lot more than that, seeing as the symbiote is able to replace his missing legs with its own biomass, giving Flash the full range of symbiote powers and restoring his ability to walk. Flash balks at taking on the name Venom, claiming that he should be a second version of Spider-Man, and is outfitted with a variety of weapons and tools which the symbiote is able to contain in its dimensional aperture, including firearms, knockout drugs, chemical weaponry, and a host of other tools to give him additional options in the field. He's also kept under strict surveillance during his time in the suit, with an implanted device to keep him in communications with their outfit, which is dubbed Project Rebirth 2.0 in reference to Captain America, the government's original super soldier. Flash is also outfitted with a bomb which can be triggered by a kill switch wielded by Project Rebirth, which in the event of the symbiote gaining full control and compromising Flash's reliability, will explode in his head, killing him and weakening the symbiote for recapture. Unbeknownst to Flash, the government has already tried to attach the symbiote to a soldier named Cal Henriksen, who was unable to control the symbiote and had his head blown clean off for it. During the first test of his symbiote-given abilities, Flash succeeds in combat and mobility tests, but nearing the 48-hour time limit begins to show heightened agitation and emotions, which doesn't quite bode well for the future of his run as Agent Venom. Flash's first mission consists of him infiltrating a summit for global financial leaders, planting a tracking chip on suspected terrorist Bianca DeMonico, and returning to remove the symbiote before 48 hours have passed. Flash then deals with problems in his personal life in the wake of the death of Marla Jameson, the wife of Jonah Jameson, and a close friend of Flash's girlfriend Betty Brant, who tells him that his best friend Peter has been taking this death to heart, and tells Flash to talk to him and try to help him through it. Before Flash is able to talk to his friend, he's contacted by his handler, the blind General Dodge, who tells him that DeMonico's terrorist group Ultimatum has abducted Yusef Kassim, a banker in the largest oil company in the Middle East, and that Flash is already needed again as Venom to track them down, rescue Kassim, and get them both out of there alive in time to remove the symbiote. There's only one problem. Due to stealth shielding in the aircraft, Flash's communications are cut off during the mission, leaving him to operate of his own accord during what is only his second time in the field as Venom. Flash quietly infiltrates the compound, dispatching several guards and using the symbiote to disguise himself long enough to get close to Kassim, who has been abducted by DeMonico and the supervillain Flag Smasher, who is just ridiculous. Grabbing Kassim and making a run for it, the alarm is set off the moment they leave the room, putting Flash in a hail of gunfire followed by an exploding grenade, which temporarily temporarily damages the portion of the symbiote acting as his legs. Seeing his new legs destroyed, even for a second, causes Flash's anger to overwhelm him, and the symbiote takes control, reforming his militarized version of the Venom costume into a more traditional monstrous Venom. Fangs, murderous rage, first-person plurals, and all. And Venom proceeds to brutally murder the enemy combatants, ripping out their organs and enjoying every second of it, before turning to Flag Smasher and biting his arm off to the horror of Kasim, who after witnessing the bloodbath calls Flash a monster and a cannibal. Removed from the heat of battle, Flash is able to regain control and escorts Kasim to the extraction point, having to wear the symbiote for the remainder of the trip home after the intended portable containment device proved non-functioning. When questioned about whether he retained control throughout the radio silence, Flash and a terrified Kasim remain quiet about the murderous rampage, though Flash's superiors remain skeptical and concerned when only 99% of the symbiote can be accounted for when they finally take it off of him. With 18 missions left, Flash declares that he's in this thing for the long haul, and while wheeling himself out of the base, he calls out to the symbiote, calling it partner, showing that it has already begun to take hold of his psyche. Back at home, Flash returns to a disappointed Betty Brant, who tells him that he missed the funeral for Marla Jameson, along with never talking to Peter, which was the one thing she asked him to do. Claiming that he'll do better, that he'll be better to her, Peter, and in general, Flash embraces Betty with the shadow of Venom still lurking over his thoughts. So this wraps up the origin of Agent Venom, an interesting new take on the Venom symbiote, one that I was initially hesitant about seeing, as I haven't really ever liked Flash Thompson before this new Venom series, but have really grown to enjoy as I've seen him progress as a complex character, both fighting the symbiote's influence and forming a similar codependency with it that previous versions of Venom have had, keeping true to the symbiote storyline and offering a refreshing new direction for it. Flash's story may be as a hero or an anti-hero at times, but this is still Venom, and there are plenty of dark moments as Flash struggles to balance his new life as a superpowered special ops agent with his ever-darkening personal life, his relationship with the symbiote becoming ever more similar to Brock's, and providing a clear parallel with his alcoholism. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/RNS Entertainment Channel, and leave a comment on what you think of Agent Venom. Also, feel free to leave any suggestions for things you'd like to see in future comic history videos. These are going to become a major focus of the channel moving forward, and are the videos I enjoy doing the most. Also, make sure to check out the comic history videos for Eddie Brock, the original Venom, Carnage's offspring and the third major symbiote Toxin, and Tara Markov from the Teen Titans.